Okay, folks, so get this. We are going all the way to Australia for this deep dive.
Australia?
Yeah, you heard right.
Right, I'm intrigued.
So it all starts at a public pool, but it's not your usual pool drama.
Not another kid doing a cannonball?
Nope, even crazier.
Yeah.
There's a whole controversy brewing over swimwear.
What, like Speedos too, revealing?
Not exactly. It's about thongs.
Songs, hold on, like the flip-flops. You're banning flip-flops at a pool.
No, 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 not those thongs. Think the other kind of thong, the bikini bottom.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. You know, that does make for a more interesting deep dive than flip-flops.
You got that right. This is about more than just a little bit of fabric. It's sparking debate about, like, body image, public decency, even individual freedom versus, like, community rules.
It's amazing how something so small can become such a big deal, right? It's like a tiny piece of fabric unleashing a tidal wave of opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. So to set the scene, our main sources are all buzzing about these posters that popped up at the Blue Mountains leisure centers in Australia.
Blue Mountains Leisure Centers, okay.
Right, and these posters were supposed to clarify the dress code, but it seems like they just made things more confusing.
Okay, I'm already sensing some chaos here. So what
Okay.
do the posters actually say?
Well, they announced a ban on thongs and G-strings.
Thongs and G-strings. See, that's where the confusion starts, right? What exactly constitutes a G-string versus, say, a regular bikini bottom? It's all a bit subjective, isn't it?
Totally, and that's what a lot of people are pointing out. Makes you wonder, was this like a brand new rule or just one they suddenly decided to enforce?
Good point. It's like, was everyone just happily wearing thongs before and no one cared? Or did something happen to trigger this crackdown?
Right, and of course this all blew up on social media.
Oh, I bet it did. Social media loves a good controversy.
Absolutely. We found this Instagram model, Jess King, and she's calling the whole thing out, saying it basically implies that the human body is automatically inappropriate.
I can see where she's coming from. If you're banning a certain type of swimwear, are you saying that the body underneath is somehow inherently wrong or offensive?
Exactly. And from a body positivity perspective, it's a valid argument. You know, people should feel comfortable and confident in their own skin.
Definitely. And it raises another question. Who gets to decide what's appropriate when it comes to someone else's body, especially in a public space like a pool?
Right. It's a tricky line to walk. And speaking of opinions, Jess King's post got people fired up. We saw everything from, this is ridiculous, let people wear what they want,
Yeah.
to control yourselves. There are rules for a reason.
Oh, wow. So a real mixed bag of reactions. Makes sense, though. This kind of thing tends to hit a nerve.
For sure. Some people even brought up the whole kids factor, saying certain swimsuits just aren't appropriate to wear around children.
Interesting. It's like different generations having different comfort levels with what they consider decent.
Exactly. And those differing ideas definitely clash in a public setting like a pool.
It does make you think about what shapes our ideas of decency in the first place. Is it our age, upbringing, cultural background? Probably a mix of everything, right?
Probably. And you know what this whole thing reminds me of? That Free the Peach protest that happened last year?
Free the peach. Okay, now you have to tell me more.
So basically, a bunch of people all wearing thongs went to the beach to protest a similar proposed ban. It was like a giant thong-wearing party.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty bold. But it makes sense in a way. Australia is known for being pretty progressive about swimwear, right? Like, think about those budgie smugglers.
Oh yeah, those things are legendary.
Exactly. So this sudden crackdown on thongs feels a bit out of step with that. But seeing these kinds of protests pop up, it suggests there's a growing pushback against these sorts of restrictions.
Right, like are people starting to feel more empowered to challenge these norms?
Maybe it could be part of a broader movement towards things like body positivity and freedom of expression, people wanting to reclaim their bodies and what they choose to wear.
That's a really interesting thought, and it makes you realize how much power a piece of clothing can actually have. It's not just fabric, it's a statement.
So true. It's like a tiny piece of fabric can hold a lot of meaning and spark a whole lot of debate.
Totally. So this is where we want to hear from you, our listener.
Oh yeah, let's get everyone's take on this.
Where do you draw the line between personal choice and what's appropriate for a shared space like a public pool? It's a tough question, right? No easy answers here.
No, it's a real head scratcher. You got your individual freedom on one side and community standards on the other. How do you strike that balance?
It's all about finding that sweet spot, I guess.
Exactly. And maybe this whole thong controversy, while seemingly silly on the surface, actually reveals something deeper about us,
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Could it be a sign of anxiety about how social norms are changing? Like, how comfortable are we really with bodies, clothing, and different levels of modesty in public?
Wow, yeah, that's a really good point.
Mm.
Like maybe this is less about the thongs themselves and more about our evolving relationship with what we consider acceptable.
Right. It's like the thongs are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot of cultural baggage and societal expectations swirling beneath the surface.
Mind blown. See, this is what I love about these deep dives. Something that starts out as a seemingly simple story about swimwear ends up making us question everything.
It's true. You never know where these conversations will lead.
So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and hey, maybe even share your own thoughts with us.
We promise not to judge.
Too much.